Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Ja.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of Between the Headlines on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Ja, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's special edition of Focus on Liberia Between the Headlines, I am glad to be in the room with the global chairperson of the JNB Tact Team 2023, Madam Meapeh Kou Gono. Madam Gono, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for providing us this platform. And we're able to engage with our people out there, letting them know what the Tact Team is about, what our plans, what is our vision, and how we are here to assist Honorable Joseph Boakai become the next president of our dear country, Liberia. So thank you for having me today, and let's discuss.
Thank you. We want to also welcome our viewers from across the globe. Please tune in, share the show, invite a friend, and let's discuss with the global chairperson of the JNB Tact Team 2023. And before we even start the story, there's trending news of the charges against Gloria Scott and 3 of her family members. That's what is trending. And I think today there was a press conference at the Ministry of Information where they outlined those charges and tried to give us some reasons why those charges were levied. What's your take before we start our show?
Thank you. You know, it is with deep sadness that we have to discuss this matter. I would like to pay homage to the brief memory of a little girl who had a lot of potential ahead of her. I think Charlotte lost her life in such a violent manner, and my condolences to the entire family. And it is such a sad thing that the investigation surrounds her own family. So it is not something that I have the legal answers to. It is not something that I can say is true or is political. It is something that we hope that as investigation goes forward, we'll be able to know the truth. And we just hope that these kinds of things do not happen in our community and in our time again, because we talk about gender-based violence. You see a child where you assume she would have been safe. Yes, she wasn't. So yes, we're looking at a case as it is being played out in the public, but I also want us to keep in mind that an innocent life was lost, and that is very, very much disturbing. We are hoping that Honorable Gloria Scott goes through this case with all of her rights protected. She's our former Chief Justice, but the rights of anyone in this situation, we hope that all of the rights are protected, and we hope that in the end, the public will know what really happened and that justice will be served to whoever did it. Again, my condolences to the family, and we are watching as this plays out in the judicial system.
Definitely a sad situation. I was watching the conference, and the police tried to establish that there was no forced entry. That was the stress. But what I was also waiting for that, yes, if there's no intruder, but what really linked the suspect to the crime, maybe that would be done in court, but I was looking for that to at least be pinpointed, and I didn't hear that. So
we cannot preempt for them. I read it. I know they said there were false information being provided by the suspect. So we have to establish what the truth information is, then we will know what the false one is. So like I said, this is a legal process, a painful one too. And let's let it play out in the courts and we'll be able to gather more evidence as time
Right.
goes.
Thank you. And focus on Labrador. We are in the business. We have our FOL Justice Forum. So we're going to be inviting our legal minds to look at the issue, and then we'll discuss it. The date and time of the show will be announced later. But let's begin by just getting to know you a little bit more. Prior to this, I did my research, tried to read on you, and I came across some things. Very proud of the work that you've been doing, that you even went to the extent of serving our country as an assistant minister. So thank you for your work. Those of us in the diaspora, we look forward to the day when we can have an opportunity to serve. So kudos to those who played their part in serving. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. It's always a privilege, to serve your people. So as you have announced, I'm Meapeh Kou Gono, and I've been around the political space for quite some time, at least over 18 years of active grassroots politics. I've been with political institutions. I was the first woman to become Secretary General of a major political party in post-war Liberia, that is the ANC. And I did serve as Assistant Minister at the Ministry of Labor. So I've been involved with campaigns. I've been involved with galvanizing our people, which is something I like a lot. I like whatever puts me at the front line with the masses of our people. I enjoy working with them, and I enjoy getting to know their views, getting to know what is it they want, what do they want for their country, and working with them to see that their aspirations can one day be realized. So I've been around this space. I'm a founding member of the JNB Tact team. This organization was established January of 2021 with a mission that over 3 years period we can assist in the process of making Honorable Joseph Boakai the former vice president and next president of our country, because we believe in his leadership. We believe his experience is something like Liberia needs at this critical time. And this is why we decided to work, tirelessly with the National Executive Committee of the Unity Party, with their campaign committee, to ensure that come October, the people of Liberia can win, and that Honorable Joseph Boakai can be the means through which they win. So this is why we're here.
Thank you. And I also discovered that you are a founding member of the CDC. At one time, you served as a secretary of the ANC.
Yeah.
You supported the LP, the late Councillor Bromsky in 2017, and endorsed the CDC in the runoff elections. So I just want to know what explains the driver behind all these movements from one party to the other.
I know, there's a popular saying, they say the masses are always in opposition. They always find a way to be in opposition. But yes, you're right. Over 18 years ago, very young, became a founding member, one of the founding members of the Congress for Democratic Change, something that today we do not regret, because I think that was a vehicle that inspired the hope of the masses. We wanted a political vehicle that our people can relate to. And that is clearly seen in election results, prior election results, that our people identified with this particular organization. And this is what the founding fathers, the fathers of democracy, this is why the progressives fought for, that we can have multiplicity of political institutions and that people have the right to associate. However, like many political institutions, there are times that there were problems. And there was a primary that led to the birth of the ANC, where we had a group within the CDC aspiring for leadership for the party, myself included, Chairman Meapeh Kou of the ANC included, Henry Costa, many other persons. And there was a travesty to democracy. We went to bombing. We were chased out after payments. We were not allowed to partake in the primaries because the standard bearer, Ambassador Weah at the time, had a set group of people he wanted to put in those positions. For us, we felt that that's not what we fought for. That's not the change we wanted for our country. And we found ourselves, at a crossroad. And we said, what do we do? Do we form a new party? Do we form a radical group within the party? But in contemporary African politics, you cannot easily survive with a radical group such as the Tea Party movement. So we decided that an alternative was a better idea. That gave birth to the ANC. The ANC came to being, and obviously, we were working with the likes of Kwame Clement, the original people who came, and we started to build, a party that has grown very big today. However, in 2017, I did not support the ANC because I felt that leadership that will benefit Liberia will require understanding. It will require knowledge about the Liberian political system. And I seen, yes, Mr. Cummings is a very qualified guy. He's worked in corporate America, but I felt the late Honorable Charles Bromskin, peace to his memory, had been around the political setting. He was former pro tem of the Liberian Senate. And so looking at key people in the race, we felt that supporting him was a better idea. Not that Ambassador Joseph Boakai was not also an experienced leader, but it was the fact that there was a kind of fatigue with the Unity Party at the time, and that was seen in the elections subsequently. So yes, that is how we supported the candidacy of the late Charles Bromskin. Unfortunately,
why still remaining member of the ANC? Why you were still member of the ANC?
No, I'm not. I was not at the time. I was a funny Secretary General, but no, not a member. So I supported his candidacy, not as an LP partisan, but I supported his candidacy. But you see, they say the will of the people is the will of God, or the voice of the people is the voice of God. When the people have spoken and they have said, listen, we want to try the CDC, I think it was incumbent on all of us to give them a shot at that, to give the government that support they needed, even from the opposition, to be able to succeed. And me, like many other opposition members did. We worked alone. We tried to work along with them.
You endorsed the CDC, right?
Yes, in the second round.
Right.
And that endorsement was to endorse the will of the people. However, they did not.
What do you mean endorse the will of the people?
Because that was the will of the people. The people voted overwhelmingly for them. The results are there.
But your endorsement came prior to voting, right?
No, my endorsement, yes, probably a few days to voting, yes.
Right.
But however, we look at the first round, you see the results in the first round, that's what the people wanted. And nothing stopped it. And I think what we needed to do in that case, in the opposition, is to support them. However, the government has miserably failed these people. And that is why we're here today and coming around the table and saying that, listen, we think Ambassador Joseph Boakai is the way. I tell you, in political struggle, Che Guevara will tell you that revolutionaries always should have alternatives. There will always be arguments. There will always be situations that will justify measures that will be taken politically. And those decisions can always be justified. So this is why we've come through this journey. And where we are today, we realize that our country is in a critical state. And we need to work tirelessly to ensure that we are able to put in a new leadership to pick up the pieces as we have gone back on a lot of the gains that were made during the time of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf.
Right. You broke away from the CDC because the standard bearer, Mr. Weah, at that time was dictatorial, if I would put it that way. He had a set group that he wanted things, and you didn't like that. What changed in the runoff for which you supported him over Boakai? And what changed now that is taking you back to Boakai?
What changed is simply the fact that we've given him the opportunity to see if over time leadership will have changed him to say that let's bring this country together. But the country is deeply divided.
But
Look at the issue.
You left him, right? You left him because of what he was doing. So between that time when you
but it doesn't mean this is politics. It's very dynamic. It's not biblical. It's not Quranic. There were variables. There were variables that would change. There are variables that will change, and those variables can be justified. However, it is always our duty to see if we can work to make things better. At this point, we've come to the realization that he's not willing. He does not have the political willpower to change anything. If he was showing some good faith, we probably would still be supporting him today. But it has become clear that he has no intent on putting the country on the path that it needs to be on.
And what changed with Mr. Boakai from 2018 to now that is attracting you?
His experience, nothing changed, but we see now that the people of Liberia so wanted a generational change, but maybe as much as we want that change, it cannot be as expedient as we thought. This is why we need his wisdom, his experience in public service. He's been there 12 years as vice president. And we think that we can tap into that experience along with his credibility to see if we can move our country forward. What has happened is water under the bridge. We can't change it, but how we move forward is what is important.
Is that voter remorse that, oh man, why we didn't pick the old man?
Well, no. To an extent, one would say that, but I tell you this. I think that the voters of Liberia, the masses themselves, maybe they had to exhaust themselves. We had to know that, let's see how it works with this. Because it was all, let me tell you something. If this did not happen, the CDC was always going to have that block of Liberians who have felt that the coming to power of the CDC would have been salvation for them politically. So maybe it was a necessary thing too.
And who you keep referring to the masses? Who are the masses?
The people of Liberia.
Oh, okay. I was talking about you work as assistant minister of labor. What were some of your accomplishments that you want to highlight?
An assistant minister at the ministry just supports the ministry administratively. So in terms of the day-to-day running of the ministry, yes, there were times that we will work on issues. I had the opportunity to represent my country on issues like child labor, something that is very prevalent in sub-Saharan Africa. And there were times that I was able to represent my country on labor-related issues, but for the most part, it's an administrative post. So it deals more with the day-to-day running of the entity, which of course supports the agenda of the president.
You were relieved of that post by President Saleh for being absent from work without an excuse. Can you explain exactly what happened?
Oh, that is not true. I was you do not even travel as an official of government without an excuse. So I was on a medical leave.
That was during Ebola, right?
Yeah, no. Yes, when I left the country, I had a leave in June. Ebola, you will know, flare up sometime around July. I was pregnant. I was on an approved medical leave. And why did political temperatures were high? Because people were dying of Ebola. I want to think that her stance was a political move, that she will find herself popular with the people. And she said, listen, those of you who are out of the country, if you do not return by this time, you will be relieved. Unfortunately, I could not return as I had medical conditions that I was not even supposed to work within that time because the state of my pregnancy and the medical records are there. And because of that, yes, I had to prioritize the life of my unborn child. And I made a choice to stay. So yes, it was not an abandonment of duty. It was not like I traveled. I was sick, to say, and I was also carrying a baby.
Did you have the opportunity to kind of explain yourself to the president?
Well, Even though I was on an approved medical leave, I was still able to submit the documentations from the doctor. But be as it may, there is something they say when public opinion is on your side, you can achieve everything. Without it, nothing. So public sentiments was on the side of the president. There were Liberians who were saying, yeah, everybody needs to be here because people are dying. So there are some things you don't have to explain right there and then. In time, people will know. So yes, I was a sick mother in maternity, and I had to stay.
Any plans to return to government?
It's always a privilege to serve your people, I would say. But, you know, when the opportunity avails itself, we all should take advantage of that in service.
Yeah. And I just full disclosure, my dream job is to be superintendent of Sino County. So.
Oh, that's a good thing. Well, maybe we should all work together someday. That's a good thing. I will get to see Sino when you're there.
All right. Congratulations as the global chair of the JNB Tact team.
Thank you.
What is the Tact team about, and how does one get ascend to the role of being a global chairperson?
Well, the Tact team, like I told you, was established 3 years ago to work along with the campaign committee to ensure that His Excellency Joseph Boakai is elected the next president. The Tact team has established itself deeply in Liberia. In every district in Montserrado, there are district heads, there are community leaders with the Tact team. In other counties, the Tact team is rapidly growing. At the university level, we have a lot of the first-time voters at the high school and university level. They are very, very, involved, energized. And so we have used the Tact team besides resource mobilization, but also even galvanizing our people, letting them know that this is time for change, coming up with strategies to support the campaign process. For example, pool washing. We want to make sure we're able to train people, we're able to identify trustworthy people, and we were able to protect those votes, because sometimes it's not always who voted, it's who counted the votes. So we want to work and ensure that the voice of our people can be collectively seen in the coming elections. So the Tact team has been working behind the scenes. We have a diaspora group and people who have expressed membership. We've brought them on board. And for example, I've received a lot of calls and messages from people. They will listen to me on platforms like this and they'll say, I want to be a member. And I would just ask you, for example, I got a message from Dennis. And Dennis said, oh, I want to be a member. I live on Tupo Road. And I said, Dennis, what's your number? The moment you give it to me, they would tell you that in like 10, 15 minutes, you will have the district leader there calling them and opening avenue for membership. So the Tact team is now considered one of the biggest auxiliaries, connected to the JNB movement or the JNB campaign for presidency 2023. So they asking about how one becomes a global chairperson. The decision is made by the National Executive Committee, which comprises of past chairpersons and the founding members.
Of Unity Party or the Tact team?
No, of the Tact team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, since the formation of the Tact team, I think all the chairpersons have come from the diaspora.
No.
Oh, okay.
The first chairperson was Mo Ali. And then when he went into real active politics at the party level, he had to leave. Then we had J. Sarah Segwe. And J. Sarah Segwe served as chairperson. But later on, he got an employment with USAID. And some of those organizations, you cannot be very political or politically active when you're with them. So he later stepped aside, and you have Madam Telia Yuri, who herself was also in Liberia. So this is the first time you actually have someone from the diaspora here at the organization.
And you said Societa Telia. What is the story? Is it that she resigned? Was she relieved? Or there's been some conflicting reports about, what actually happened? Would you mind
Well,
telling us a little?
yes, I will speak a little on that. I don't like to dwell on this because we try to keep people together. But what I do know is that as a chairperson, first of all, she did such a remarkable job with the organization. I always like to reference that she brought energy, innovation, and we will always respect the work she did with us. But you will know that after the VP selection process, there were a lot of temperatures politically. Some people stood back, some people were not in the most supportive mood. And there was a period where she was silent. The position was dormant. There were frantic efforts made to reaching her. None of those were fruitful. Even at the district level, our district chairpersons reached out to her, but to no avail. We formed a committee at the executive level to reach out to her, myself included. We still did not hear from her. We're still hoping she returns. But however, we have such short time to the election, less than 150 days. So with things like pool washing and everything we involve with, my brother, we have to move at a very fast pace. And that's why the same National Executive Committee who asked her to fill in this gap now wrote her a letter thanking her for her service and said, because of inaccessibility, we have to move forward. And this is how we came to this decision. Well, we are just respectful of all she did for us.
But still being Collins pay as pay, will you say that was a dereliction of duty?
Well, that's not for me to say. In political times, temperatures can be high, things happen, and we respect her silence. We hope, we're hoping to see her someday again. I know that she's a lady with a lot of potential politically, and I know we'll all work together. So we just pray to see her on board one of these days.
So let's talk more about what has the Tact team accomplished thus far since your founding. What have you been up to? And what exactly do you have under your belt?
Increase in membership, because I tell you, the Tact team, because of the way it has diversified, the Tact team now that started with a handful of people, you have thousands of members all through the country. We even have database with those people we can call out, people who are available to work. The Tact team has been able to raise resources. The Tact team has been able to support and bring life to the campaign. The auxiliaries in political organizations are always important because sometimes people want to see that colorful, that exuberant appeal to the campaign, besides the technical aspects in the back. And for now, where we are considering diaspora engagements with our stakeholders. We have a big meeting coming up on July 2nd. That way we'll be sitting with Rescue 1, Rescue 2, the Rescue Mother, Honorable Kanga, and letting them know how we want to help out in the campaign and presenting plan of action for their approval. So we're also looking at the whole, again, training people, raising resources for pool washing. So the Tact team has been very busy. And when you talk to the chairman on the ground, the district chairs, those leaders within the county, they are so committed. They are such hard-working group of people. So I know that leading to these elections, we'll be seeing a lot. In August 12th, for example, you're going to have thousands of our university students and our high school students out there. They were going to be launching their program, the Tact team at the university level. They were going to be involved with several activities, car wash. They have a whole lot of things lined up. So the Tact team, I'm telling you, within 3 years have made a lot of progress politically.
Right. And you preempted part of my question there, which is what specific work will you be doing for the next 4 months up to October 10th?
Yeah.
I know you're going to have boots on the ground.
Yeah. So, I will be joining them myself, but like I told you, we will be working along with the campaign team. We're going to be trying to identify pool washers. We're going to be involved with training. We're going to be involved with going on those campaign trails. We're going to be involved with the door-to-door approach. awakening, enlightening students at the university level, our first-time voters. Everything we can do to make this dream of having Ambassador Joseph Boakai successful is what we will be doing, because that is the mandate of the JNB Tact team, to ensure that he becomes the next president.
Talking about ensuring JNB becomes the next president, let's talk about why JNB, right? In 2017, at a time he was in office as sitting vice president, he went, against someone who practically had little experience when it comes to running anything, including government. He lost. So that was when he was. This was when he was 6 years younger. So now at this time, why JNB? They say, they raining full of the bucket that the deal will fill it. At a time that he had a chance, he was already in power. He didn't win.
When you say he had it, when you say he had a chance, I don't understand it, because
what I mean, maybe
I get it, but I get where you were saying, Dennis. But when I say I don't understand it, he had no chance. The chance is with the people. The power belongs to the people, as inscribed in our constitution. They alone have that power, and they use that power. I agree he was vice president at the time. You have to understand that the people too, after 12 years, sometimes the way our people think, after 12 years of having one political institution, maybe we need another political institution. And also, it's not just when you speak of the current president, His Excellency Weah, it's not just him being in power versus a man from obscurity. And the current president is one of the most popular Liberians. He has been around. He has name recognition to him. He came from a grassroots party that have become very popular. Yes, he had not won an election, but look at the legislature. the leading numbers that the CDC had in the legislature. So he was not coming against a nobody politically, or nobody in terms of numbers. So yes, at the time it was not successful, but again, it's political variables. The way the people felt that 6 or 7 years ago, do they still feel the same way? I doubt it. So this, just because he did not win at that time doesn't mean that he cannot win. If I said the way the CDC has governed, have propelled a case to have him come back, and people are now saying, listen, people say President William R. Tolbert was one of our best presidents, but this man served as vice president for 19 years. He saw all of those lapses. He was able to capitalize on it as president and try to do some of those things that our people remember him for today. So I think this man being vice president for 12 years, I think he's seen a lot in government. He has a lot of experience. He served different regimes. And I think it's that wealth of experience the people of Liberia can benefit from.
So in 2017, if the issue was, this is 12 years, we're not having this 12 years again, we tire with you, please go.
Yeah, I'm not saying that issue is justifiable. I'm just saying some of the things. I'm just saying some of the things that I heard.
Right. No, that's what I'm basing my question on.
Yeah, okay.
So why will he come back now, and people say, are they now forgetting about the 12 years and say, oh, okay, because the 12 years are still there. So would they not say, well, you were here 12 years, you didn't accomplish X, Y, Z? Why should we have you again?
That is absolutely not what they're saying. What they're saying is we need the old map to apply the new map. They are saying we think we need this experience. This man has vast experience in government to bring to the table and help us get this country back on track. I was there twice this year, and a lot of what I was hearing is what I'm telling you.
So let me come to, I know the picking of Senator Jeremiah Cohn brought some tension, or as you said, temperature in the party. How and why was Mr. Cohn picked, and who all were involved in this decision?
Well, the decision to pick a running mate is always solely the responsibility of the standard bearer. He made that decision. Whether even there was, of course, there were committees that were able to look at candidates and suggest, recommend Like, oh, there's Dennis on there, there's Meapeh on there. These are Meapeh's strengths. These are her weaknesses. These are Dennis'
who were
strengths.
on these committees, this particular committee?
You had people at the party level. You had chairman, you had stalwarts of the party. But however, I want you to know that regardless of what role these people play, ultimately the decision was his. And we respect his decision. And politicians will make decisions that are politically expedient, decisions that, and you know, we can, especially when you were going to an election, decisions that you can benefit from politically. We respect that in the era we today.
So how was, so that was how, what was the Kou advantage over other candidates?
I would say that one advantage is the fact that he comes from a vote-rich county. He comes from a county that has the second highest number of registered voters. But not only that, though, he's a 3-time elected official from that county. He had been able to cut across, build alliances in the Southeast, alliances with the people of Brangida. All across the country, he has started to do a lot of outreach. I think he was successful in outreach. He reached out a lot. And even at the level of the Unity Party, he was able to make a lot of inroads. And I think that those things work to his advantage. And like I said, we look forward to working with him. I think Liberia will see a lot more of this humble, intelligent man.
So we understood there were the last two that were in the race were Senator Kanga Lawrence and Senator Kou. So the major advantage Senator Kou had was his county. Is that correct?
In my mind, I said not just his county, it's the fact that he was also elected 3 different times. And you know, these are some of the things I personally would think is an advantage. But at the end of the day, the decision was squarely that of the Honorable Joseph Boakai. You and I will give our opinion as to what we think led to it. But on that Friday, he told us who his running mate was. So he told us some of the reasons. A humble young man who comes from grassroots, who been there, who understand the struggles of the motorcyclists, of the gas sellers, just of our people across the country.
Right, because it has become commonplace that are based on your county, right? You would think that at this time in our political history, the place we come from shouldn't matter that much, but who we are, people, right? So when politicians start saying, okay, you come from vote rich, I don't know if someone from River G, for instance, or River Cess, or Bapolu will be picked if our county now is the one that is propelling us.
Well, like I said, Dennis, I am answering the question as to what I think led to it.
Yeah.
This is not Boakai's pick, but let me tell you something. That argument will not hold because we've had leaders from scarcely populated counties like
VP pick.
Like Bomi. I'm talking about VP. The president more important than the president position is more important than
every time they are looking for VP.
Oh, we have had people come from Bomi. So I think it's a good thing.
I get that.
So I think it's a good thing to come from a small county, because if a big county will make you number 2 and a small county will make you number 1, then I want to come from River G.
Right. Because all our president, all the candidates now, Josh, we have VP is coming from Bon County, what people in Labrador now call vote rich.
Well, I don't get your analogy, because
let me finish.
Is bigger than number 2.
Yeah, let me finish, because when we are looking for VP and our ethnic group and our ethnic group and the country we come from is a major factor.
We cannot say it played a major factor here. I am assuming that it's a factor.
So we don't know, because
we don't know. It's my assumption, and I don't think it's bad to look at, because people count numbers. So but it's just me.
But what you make of this thing that you should come to pick a VP, Mr. Boakai look at Nimba because of their vote, 300,000 plus.
Maybe not,
Mr. Cummings look at Bassa because Bassa vote. People say Bassa belt. Now, so it is this county, where you come from. I thought we were done with that. That is not where you come from, but who you are.
Well, of course, we are moving towards that fastly. It's also politically prudent to know that politicians are also interested in votes. And these are factors that could influence the process. Like I say, I do not know where influence his decision, Mr. Cummings' decision, and, President Weah's decision. Maybe President Weah just wanted to have a woman on his ticket.
Yeah.
Maybe Mr. Cummings should believe that, Madame Bromsky is such a fantastic candidate. So I wouldn't say it's squarely the Bassa bill, but you and I can only assume that those are factors that they look at.
Did they consider Mr. Senator Coon's record also? Because in the House, also in the Senate, what was his accomplishment? His votes were these also factor in? Did they also consider
you are asking questions to the wrong person because
I don't mind.
The question is squarely that of the prerogative of the former vice president. But I tell you this, the things that I do know about Senator Coon is the fact that if you just ask me what are things you think we're tracking, the ANC went after this man.
Yeah.
Other parties went after him. I think these are the things I'm thinking. These are the things they look at. People say Nima have over 300 registered voters, and that is only at our county level. If you look across the country, in the southeast, there are a lot of Nimbayans. In Montserrat, there are tons of them. People look at numbers, people look at a fight that maybe this guy is easier to get along with. This guy has cut across. He has started to work on his own future pursuits. He has started to reach across the aisles. He has had a lot of stakeholders meetings, build alliances, build bridges. And people look at the fact that the things he's done for the people of Nima, build a hospital, giving it to the government. People look at the fact that he has gone to the ballot box over and over and always have victory. And I think those things that are politically prudent to look at too.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, it's just you and I. We do not have the facts.
I think so. Because others have criticized Ambassador, the former VP Boakai, that Coon's proximity with Prince Johnson in the MDR, owing to Prince Johnson's history in the Liberian Civil War, his charges of pay to play and other things that people don't like. And when they look at the proximity, they thought that would be like a minus. What's your thought?
When we are hypocritical about our politics, then it becomes laughable because the same people who saying that all of these parties went after this man. Like I said, the people from the Cummings camp,
right.
They wanted this man badly. Yeah, but let me learn now. They all wanted this man. They did not see this issue until he got picked by Boakai. They fight that crimes are not transferable, that people affiliate or he is not a political leader of the party that this man has stepped down from, or they were in the same political setting. I don't think there's any guilt by association. I think this man is his own person. And this is how he rose from obscurity. He was a poor boy. He went through the ranks and files of what it means to be successful. I do not think, with all due respect to Senator Johnson, that he controls Jeremiah Coon. We all know people who we will say have done things during the war that we do not support. The same can be said about CDC having a wife of an indicted war criminal on your ticket. But at the end of the day, I would tell you that Coon himself have done nothing against humanity. He's a man who has his own thinking, and Liberia will see more of him.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's talk about JNB's stand on national issues. Most of the time we complain that our president doesn't talk to us. He doesn't take action when something is happening. We are expecting him to use his bullet pulpit to speak to the people. He's not been doing that. We are kind of finding the same thing with Mr. Boakai. And I give you examples. We have not heard from him on the census, the voter registration. There were a lot of, complaints about the censor, we didn't hear him speak. There was also on the drug issue when the $100 million cocaine bust. We didn't hear from him. On the sanctions and unexplained deaths. Also, we heard that he said, well, I talk when the people listen. Why are we not hearing from him, and what will it take for us to hear from VP Boakai on critical national issues?
It's not that VP Boakai does not speak or care about critical national issues, but I think there is, like how you see it, we should be looking at a man who looks like he's going to remove that over-centralization that we see of power when it comes to the presidency. He has a political institution, he has structure in place, the political party has made position, and he has spoken. When there are key issues, he will have a position on it. He's not going to be on the radio every moment trying to score points on the president. He's giving him chance to lead as he is. However, when there are important issues, he either speak or the party will speak on it. If you have the party official speaking an official statement from the Unity Party, then that captures the view of the Honorable Joseph Boakai because he's the standard bearer of that party. So when we talk about our need to decentralize power, this is what you're seeing him doing. It's not on every single issue that he would talk. It does not mean those issues are not important. The party will come up with a position on that issue and speak to the people of Liberia. But there are issues he has spoken on as well.
Of late, what has he spoken about openly, publicly?
And Ambassador Boakai was at Farmington talking about the agreement. You're talking about the voter registration issue, talking about the agreement between political parties, calling for peaceful elections, talking about the issue of the voter registration. So he's been speaking, but more so in these times, his party has also been speaking. And those views from the party, the official statement, those are the views of the standard bearer.
And that's why
and you will hear more, and you will hear more of him as he gets on the campaign trail.
Do you think we should hear more from Mr. Boakai as a contrast with President Weah?
You say that again?
Do you think we should hear more from Mr. Boakai to contrast President Weah? Because President Weah,
obviously, when a campaign opens up, you gotta give the people a chance to lead too. But when a campaign opens August 5th, you're going to hear more. Just wait for the opening of the campaign. And hopefully I will be back here to remind you, you're going to be hearing more from the former vice president.
He was told to go to FOIA and relax, that Mr. Kou and Senator Kou and Senator Kanga said, you just go to FOIA and sleep. We're going to run it.
Oh, yes. You have to understand that politicians will speak in context. Right. And to take things they say literally is a mistake.
Yeah, because already he's not speaking.
What you have to understand is, if I'm campaigning, I will say things to appeal to the base. We speak in our context. So if Senator Lawrence said, listen, we got this. We give you all of our support. You can even go to sleep in FOIA. We will be out there campaigning for you. She doesn't literally mean those things. She's trying to show her commitment, her over-commitment to this process. And I salute her for that.
Yeah, because we hear the same thing. President Weah is at Jamaica Resort, So if somebody tells her, go to FOIA and just relax.
You start to get scared. No, but that's not what she meant. She just meant that, listen, I'm on board 100%. It doesn't matter what seat I'm on this train. I'm on board. I'm going to work. Even in your absence, I'm going to work. And that's where she came from. And like I said, the people of Liberia, they owe her a debt of gratitude for that hard work and that commitment and that the diligence, the exuberance she brings to the campaign. That's the context in which she spoke.
There are people who support, key supporters of Mr. Boakai, who sometimes their actions and what they say become very repugnant. Yet we don't see Ambassador Boakai distancing himself from them or repudiating their actions or trying to disown them. Why is that so? And I can give examples, but why is he not distancing himself? Yes, we saw that one of his key supporters, Prince Johnson, in his church, he used his church to say all sorts of things, including, number one, the people of Southeast are not good for power. He's talked about the sexual lifestyle of Mr. Cummings. He talked things against Charlene Brumskin. We also see that when Pedro Costa was supporting, said all kinds. I mean, it took almost a year to literally insult other people, including Mr. Cummings. We see that with also sometimes with Representative Yeke Koluba, who also support Ambassador Boakai, saying
he supports the ANC.
Yeah, in all this, yeah, he said both the ANC, he said CPP, so he used two of them.
He supports the ANC. I haven't seen Mr. Cummings withdraw support from him either. But
Exactly, and that's my point, right?
And I tell you this, and I have not seen him, Mr. Cummings. I heard Yeke talk about how many men the former vice president or the current vice president have been with, and yes, you have not seen public rebuke. If you have not seen public rebuke to those things, it doesn't mean that Mr. Cummings enjoys that. It doesn't mean that Mr. Cummings has not had a conversation with him.
I'm talking about Mr.
We
Boakai.
cannot, yeah, I'm coming to that. And that is the same for Mr. Boakai. So I'm just trying to lay all the analogy. You see how leaders work. So obviously, Senator Johnson, who is a political person by himself, who, like myself, say I will support Ambassador Boakai. And as much as I say I will support Ambassador Boakai, Prince Johnson has no official role in the campaign.
I agree.
Prince Johnson is not a sport person of the Boakai campaign.
I agree.
Me, if I say certain things, Boakai can call the tag team and say, with the role she's holding, she cannot say this or she must be removed. He cannot say the same of Prince Johnson. Let's be fair here. We know how Prince Johnson operates. We do not support the things he said. The things he said against Honorable Brumskin, he has apologized, and I condemn them as well. But this is a man who has been his condemnation could be private. It doesn't mean he doesn't have to come on and say, "Oh, I heard him say this." Like Cummings did not. Cummings did not. Have you talked to Cummings about condemning what Yeke does? No. But it doesn't mean that Cummings have not talked to Yeke before. So what I'm trying to say, we shouldn't make petty of this thing. Prince Johnson is not somebody you control. If you will come out to rebuke everything he say every day, we have another press conference. But there are steps that are taken. Behind the scenes, there are steps that are taken. And we are traditional people. I cannot stay here and say, this person called him and told him, say, "Oh, Senator Johnson, you can't do that." But I'm sure he will not be repeating those things, because those are not things that the Unity Party support or are happy about. And our democracy gradually will grow to a point where people will actually be above those things. I believe you and I will see you in a new Liberia.
If people are saying these things in support of you, and you are saying you don't,
and those people are ordinary Liberians,
right?
Those people are not people. Liberians. Yeah, no. That be fine here. This man has no official capacity in which he's supporting the man, but he is a sitting senator. He's a newsmaker. So if he say these things, it become public. It doesn't mean it's being endorsed. So if it's like you say, you go on the street and you hear a John Brown supporter who supports one of the candidates say something, and you say, "Oh, then we need to come out and apologize because the guy from the CDC said this." No, Prince Johnson himself has no official role. So we do not support the things he said that are not true or that are not right. But at the same time, it's brought to our attention, or it's brought to your attention, or it's claiming your ears because he's a newsmaker, because of his portfolio. So he's apologized, and we don't want to keep digging into that because those things were offensive, especially to a woman.
Right. So if those things are offensive and silent, if the party,
I wouldn't consider it silence, because I don't know if there were discussions with him behind the scene.
No, we didn't.
Okay, I don't like to dig in things that I don't have evidence on.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's the evidence we have is if there are public comments.
No, he cannot come out. The former vice president will do no such thing. He's not going to come on everything a party scene.
No, I'm not saying everything.
It said this. But listen, on anybody who is not officially a member of his campaign, and people need to draw this dichotomy. Prince Johnson is not an official campaign person.
Let me give you another example. Henry Costa was insulting political leaders left and right. And when and it was at the same time promoting the Boakai campaign. Every time Mr. Boakai comes to America, he piling around.
I'm not privileged to the discussions between Henry and Ambassador Boakai. And I will tell you this: he's a very fiery talk show host. Sometimes his style of talking and his base, he comes as being very fiery. And sometimes it's political satire. I wouldn't say definitely he went there to tear any one particular person promoting his candidate. But again, I do not know conversations they held in the back. I would like us to speak to the way forward.
Right. And I'm not talking about backdoor conversation. I'm talking about public. Like when we saw here, when Reverend Jeremiah Wright, who was not playing any role in the Obama campaign, but because of his sermon, Obama was called out to repudiate him, and Obama finally disowned him.
We need to start looking at what works in our setting. There are steps to this, and I'm not, like I said, it would be disingenuous to say the former vice president remain quiet as these things happen. Look, he has, not much control. It is not possible that he did not say things to people or did not have private conversations, but those things are sure that if they were private, they were private. But our goal here and my presence here today is to talk about the wealth of experience he brings and how we can move our country forward. We talk about promoting Liberian, everything Liberia on here. We have to think Liberia, we have to love Liberia, and we have to build this new Liberia. And it's honor Ambassador Joseph Boakai that we can make that change.
Good. So finally, on that note, will we say every time those who support us make incendiary comments, as leaders, we should say something or no, or we should only do that behind closed doors?
I wouldn't say as leader what the approach would be. Their approach to things. Someone, for example, that Senator Johnson, you've watched over the time. Maybe the thing that works best with him is to have a private conversation. And we know he came and apologized for the comments he made. I didn't think he just woke up and apologized. I sure interventions were done. So our country have come from such a horrible past in terms of conflict, people being combative.
Right.
But we must look at the best measures in dealing with these things. So on that note, I'll encourage everyone to tap in the experience of Honorable Boakai and let's move forward.
There have been many who say a lot of bad things against Ambassador Boakai in the past, and those people will come back to support him and embrace them. Is that a form of reconciliation or a sign of desperation?
I wouldn't call it desperation. I don't think the prodigal father was desperate. I think when people come back and they realize things, some of them did not have the information they had. And sometimes, like I tell you, variables change politically. So if people say, listen, we did not see it like that, but given what we have seen, let's rally around the wisdom of this old man. I don't think he's desperate. The man is sitting and people are bringing endorsements all over the country. He just received one of the biggest endorsements from motorcyclists throughout the union, one of the most powerful union in the informal sector, and, endorsing his candidacy. So it is not desperation. This is just the resolve of the Liberian people to look his direction.
And talking about those motorcyclists, I think there was another second group that came back and said, I mean, what's going on there? I mean, I understand that you cannot have maybe 100% of people endorsing.
Well, these things happen in a political setting, especially if you have an incumbent government running. There's going to be people, detractors, who will come and say, oh no, because you have this independent movement coming, because we know incentives that come with doing those things. But you heard the testimony of the president of that union. He said how threatened he was. the days leading to the endorsement. And we just want to salute his courage. I think his brother Keyo, we want to salute his courage. Liberia will change by courageous people like that who are willing to sacrifice for the state of affairs in the country. So I'm sure that endorsement came in good faith, as there were no incentives to it.
There were, reports that Ambassador Boakai said he's willing to dance with the devil just to be president. I mean, is there any truth to those?
I don't think so. Those comments I have not heard. I saw something speculated like that, and I did not hear them. I do not think he said that. But like I said, when people play politics over every little thing people say, it become funny. And there are some men that I know, when they talk about being with a particular woman, I say, I would just stay with a woman. Yeah, it's better to be with a devil, I don't think literally they mean their wives are devil. So sometimes we speak in context. I'm not saying this is the case because I did not hear him saying it. I do not believe he said it. But you also have to bring Liberianization to this and look at the context through which our people communicate.
Let's talk about some issues. Lately, there has been a lot of what we call slut shaming of politically active women. I mean, in fact, tomorrow we are having a show to talk about what's politics and what isn't. We saw that in PYJ and Charlene Bromskin. We saw that with Yeke Koluba and VP Taylor. We saw that with Henry Costa, with the Mo Ali girlfriend. Remember that don't put me in situation that I can't handle. We also saw that with Henry Costa and the Mo and Mean girls. We see that we just saw that recently with
Dr. Richardson.
Kev Hafsan and Dr. Richardson. What you think is going on here? That every time we have politically active women, there is slut shaming, especially from men.
Well, it is wrong, my brother. There are certain things that I feel bad about, even discussing, but we have to discuss it be as it may. It is wrong. We denounce those things. There should be protection in the political space for women. I know this has been a male-dominated area for many years, yet and still Liberian women are making strides. They are breaking the glass ceiling, and it's not easy for most men to come on terms with. This is wrong. We condemn that. Sometimes it's meant to scare these women off. But I tell these women and these victims that be strong. You too, you will not always be given a seat at the table. Sometimes you got to bring your chair along with you. There will be people who will try to bully you politically. And this is not unique to even our culture, to many cultures, because everything from religion has created a space to put women down and justification in the minds of men, where they do not see their female counterparts as equals. And when sometimes a woman raises her voice too much, whether politically or anyhow, people are offended. Some men are offended. Some men have actually worked for the protection of women's voices. And I think men who have, operated in such fashion. And this is why, again, I believe that voting His Excellency, our former Vice President Joseph Boakai, would be a good thing, because this is a man who served under the first female president of Liberia. When people felt that this could never be possible, that even a woman can be a leader, yet he subjected himself and said, yes, I can work alongside with a woman.
He complained that he was
assistant. Let me learn as an assistant. Yeah. So it tells me his faith in Liberian women. He spoke passionately about creating opportunities for them. And he's one candidate, like I said, who have not only spoken about what we call urban women, but he talked about rural women. He's concerned about what's happening with them in the villages, what too can be their contributions. So the women of Liberia, I know under Ambassador Joseph Boakai, will have a protected space. And let these men know that we're here to work alongside with them. and respect these women when they were on platforms, when they were given the opportunity. Know that this is something that women have not always been privileged to. And a lot of them will come with their own fears. You guys have to make the place comfortable. But like when women are resilient, you saw it from the first African woman at the United Nations, Angie Brooks Randall. You saw Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf being the first woman in Africa to become president. Liberian women, I mean, they have been stepping up. They're a strong group of women, but we ask for greater protection in the political space.
Does Ambassador Boakai have a position on this slut shaming of politically active women? Has he taken any position on this?
He does not have to come and say, I'm just telling you, this is a man who spoke before about protecting women, making sure they're represented in his government. As far as women who, most political candidates are not even thinking about our rural women. He's been concerned with even our rural women having a stake into their own government. So I know this is something he does not support. It takes a man who believes in women and the women leadership to serve and assist the first female president when no one even thought a woman can be elected.
Right. And the reason I asked about whether he has any position on that, we remember during the Mo Ali and his girlfriend saga, we didn't hear from him, but so I don't know, does he have any record protecting women and punishing people who are hostile?
Well, if you say that the Mo Ali and the woman, I really don't like to discuss that involves an innocent child, but I tell you this, just because he did not call a press conference and say member of the Fourth Estate, Mo Ali, spoke on a private tape and it sounded like this, doesn't mean that he condones that. Like I said, just because Mr. Cummings, let me learn, just I told you, because Mr. Cummings did not debunk Koluba Yeke for saying all of those things he said, but the sitting vice president of our country doesn't mean he condones it. But sometimes maybe leaders have a way that they deal with issues, but we are not here to politic because I'm a woman. I know what it means to be in this space. I'm here to ask for greater protection for Liberian women all across our country. And even that's why we've been saying, even at the electoral level, give assistance to Liberian women to help up their voice, because it's a very tough terrain for women. And now with all these names calling, it even makes it even more scary. So I'm thankful that people like you have this kind of platform. Tomorrow I will follow and make sure that we're able to protect women.
Yeah. There came out something that looked like they leaked a medical record of Mr. Boakai, which purportedly was put out by Mr. Henry Costa. I saw a release of Costa denying that. What's going on here? What you make of this thing coming out, and Costa is coming out to say, "Oh no, that's not me," but yet he still remained distant from Mr. Boakai ever since Mr. Kun was picked.
That's a good question, but I'll tell you something. There was a leaked fake medical report. You live in America, you know it's not easy to get medical reports or medical records on people. Anyone who has a medical background know it looks bogus. The first thing you're talking about, consent for surgical procedure, that kind of consent is signed right before surgery. It's something you sign right before surgery. I've been in surgical procedures before. So it's fake. Whoever did it, they had no intelligence put into it. And this is the same things that have happened. We just discussed about women, how our political space have become. That people want to prey on false information. People want to hope someone is dying in order for them to live. But I cannot speak to speculations because no one has owned up to this. You said Mr. Costa came out and he denied it categorically, and we take his word on that. I don't see any evidence that link him to it. And at the end of the day, you talk about him being distant. Yes, I told you, political temperatures can be high and low. He himself in Newtown will speak about his own silence. But what is most important here is that the records were fake and that it did not stay on our political space for long because there is no truth to it. That's the thing about the truth. The truth is unbending. It always comes out. And I pity the condition of anyone who have done such a thing.
What is this between the MDR, LP, Unity Party? Will you call that a collaboration? And already there are issues that are popping up, and with what is going on in Lofa between Kotimer and Steve Zako. I think you know the story. So how will you describe what is between the Unity Party, the MDR, and piece of the Liberty Party?
Well, in these times, political groupings will come together and support, just because there are a lot of other political institutions and the crucial nature of our elections. I've been following what's happening in Lofa. Lofa is not the only county that has this kind of challenge, but this is not unique to the Unity Party. In political seasons, if you've been around the political space for some time, you will know that it happens because there are competing interests. But however, that is for the party leadership to solve, and I know within due time, it will be solved so that those candidates can register, and we hope that it will be amicably resolved.
Oh, Musa Bilete, who the Supreme Court recognized as the chair of the Liberty Party, is having issue with this collaboration or cooperation. Do you fear that some legal action may also cause problem for the Unity Party?
No, I have no such fear. Because someone who broke away from your party, or someone who you have your own party differences and the code rule on, you cannot say that that person cannot support or endorse someone else.
No, using the party's name, not just as an individual, but in the name
Well,
of the
if at all he takes legal action against that, will be for the court to decide. I cannot preempt his decision, and I cannot preempt the court's action. But
the court has already decided. The court has already decided.
I mean, when you go back to the court, because he said he could sue. So I don't know what actions could be taken, but I do not know what the violations are in this matter, that this group supports women boycott, or these individuals support women boycott. But at the end of the day, what I think we should be more concerned about is not the cherry picking of politics, it's the fight that we need to change our country.
And you believe Mr. Boakai is going to do that this time around?
Certainly, I do.
What would Joseph Boakai cabinet look like?
He would.
What would his cabinet?
What does his cabinet look? What will his cabinet look like?
Yeah.
It's a question that you and I can. A man who holds things very close to his chest. It's something that you and I can guess. But what I do know, or I can guess, is that it will be a cabinet that reflects competence, patriotism, people who are willing to work and move their country forward. And this is what we believe, and this is what we look forward to.
Mr. Boakai has a history of surprises, right? At a time, nobody knew that he was going to pick Mr. Nukwe. So everybody was expecting, and he went and picked Mr. Nukwe. Same thing this year. Everybody was expecting Senator Lawrence. He went and surprised everyone by picking Jeremiah Coon. So will we see the same thing in his cabinet? That is it that he just go his own way?
If you look at his agenda for Liberia, he will be putting people there who will implement that. And I want to believe that those will be competent people, those will be patriots, those will be people who will work alongside to put the country back into shape.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia Between the Headlines. My guest is Madam Meapeh Kou Gono. She is the global chair of the JNB Tact Team 2023. If you want to take part in the conversation, please call the number on your screen, 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. We have 15 minutes to close. So let me ask you about another thing, maybe unrelated to JNB. The finance minister said since they came to power, they have been able to live 27,000. I'm not going to say million because that was a slip and he corrected that. 27,000 persons out of poverty. To you, what does taking someone out of poverty look like?
When you take someone out of poverty, I think it's something that should be sustained. I think there should be indicators that actually happened. And those 27 million people have not seen, evidence of that. But like I said, the people of Liberia now have an opportunity to go to the ballot box and to correct that. Sometimes people make mockery of people. You see our people in abject poverty. You see working class people who have not begged before turning into beggars, and people play politics out of it. It is really sad. They play politics to the point that they even inflicting the numbers exponentially, and that is not something that we are happy about. But our people have an opportunity come October to go to the election and vote for a change.
Right. When JNB was in power as vice president, they had a poverty reduction strategy. They were reducing. So if you look at that poverty reduction, now the current government saying, well, we took 27,000 persons out of poverty. Are these leaders really playing with the people? Because I know my people in Bannersville, I don't know which of them came out of poverty or whose poverty was reduced. So is this something that Mr. Boakai can relate to when it comes to the poverty rate in the country?
You see, when you talk about the poverty reduction strategy on Madam Selive, there are things that when you start, it becomes evident after many years. And like I said, the trajectory that the country was on, we've gone back on a lot of those gains. But that careless statement with the current finance minister that he lifted people out of poverty at that level, I thought he meant 27, mean like government officials. But if he put any other zero after the 27, then you know that it's fake and it's not true. But I do believe, like I said, Honorable Joseph Boakai, having been vice president for that long, having understood, having seen at a place where he was made to assist, but now giving the mental of authority, I know he will start to work in the interest of our people.
Thank you. Let me bring in on our callers to weigh in. The first caller here is Mr. Elvis Morris. Elvis, welcome to Focus on Liberia. You're live.
Thank you, Mr. John, and hello to your guests. I've seen her on other platforms, and I think she's very smart, and she's done a good job defending JNB. But I just want to touch on this whole issue with, the Prince Johnson and the Meapeh Kou Gono issue. We've seen it with Kula Fofana, who I think is one of the big, one of the big people in her party. She refused to condemn what, Prince Johnson said. And when you guys tried to separate yourself from Prince Johnson, no, there's no separation. You took Jeremiah Cohn from Prince Johnson's party, who was the vision bearer, whose vision Jeremiah Cohn is bearing now. So there's no separation there. So when Prince Johnson go out there and disparage women, somebody like this, who, for some of us who don't know you personally, will admire your courage and your intellect, should have the courage to condemn him. But maybe it's more of a traditional thing, since I think you guys come from King County. But we want to see more accountability for the people who wants to take over from a government that is, quote unquote, not accountable to the people. But overall, I think you did a lot of dodging tonight. You really didn't answer a lot of questions directly. But, it is what it is. So thank you for coming on the platform. Nice seeing you. Thank you for taking my phone.
Thank you. And Carl, if you don't mind, please jot the questions down. Let me take our next caller. That's Hassan.
Mm-hmm.
Hassan, full name and where you calling from?
My name is Hassan Kone. I'm calling from New Jersey, Dennis.
Go ahead, Hassan.
I think that good afternoon to you and your guests. Great show tonight. I would want to touch on things. You asked the guest several questions tonight. She have, like the Evans just said, she have dodged a lot of questions. I think she came up with a disclaimer and saying that, she doesn't speak for the JNB Tact team. That would have been perfect, right? But she was speaking as,
like an individual tonight, not somebody that was representing the Unity Party thing. But as far as the whole Joseph Boakai thing, you asked several questions tonight, and it's just to show that to or during Joseph Boakai County government over 40 plus years, this man has yet to take accountability for anything. He has never taken accountability for anything. It's always been everybody else's fault. All the government he has served in, right? It has never been something that he had did wrong or took accountability for. What I want to say tonight, then, is to close on, is I don't think Joseph Boakai is a leader. He's like an older version of George Weah. People are pushing him to get into power because this man has never took responsibility or take leadership role or speak on any real national issues. When you talk about it, you ask the question about he's speaking on national issues about the Prince Johnson statement towards all people in the opposition, or even generalizing people from the Southeast and stuff like that. They are refused. I think in spite of gaining more than Prince Johnson's support. I think basically holding Prince Johnson in their analogy is having Prince Johnson's support is more important than the rest of the country. How the rest of the country view the Unity Party and how you call it. And the stance when it comes to national issues and stuff like that, I think that it should come up and unanimously distance itself from. But I mean, overall, like I said, you asked a lot of tough questions tonight. She have dodged the questions, so I think she should have come up with a disclaimer saying that she did not represent the United Party because she was just speaking on her own personal things instead of on her own personal beliefs and stuff like that. But anyway, great show tonight, and I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Let me bring on Kalebo Gonglo. Mr. Gonglo, you live.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be back again on FOL. I have few disagreements and maybe a question. My first disagreement: when you ask Ms. Gono why Boakai is silent on many of the issues, she said in her response that Boakai was trying to not be overly powerful. He was trying to more or less decentralize power or Wallachia. But the truth is, decentralization is not the same as abandoning your public space to subordinate, to say do this. It's not the same. So decentralization or devolution of power is not the same. They are totally different concepts. So I just want to point that out. And the second thing is, when you also point out, pin her down on PYJ utterances, and the excuse she gave was PYJ is not does not have a role in the campaign. Listen, I disagree. PYJ was the first official of MDR that met Boakai to strike a deal that take MDR as your governor, as your partner for the 2023 elections. So, and PYJ is on record publicly announcing that he is the chair of the governing council of the MDR, which, according to him, is the highest decision-making body of the MDR in the absence of that convention. So he can even remove the standard bearer or other officers of the MDR as chair of the governing council. So he's critical. His voices and what he said is pivotal. It matters. That's what Boakai should address, not to shy away for him to say he doesn't have a role. I disagree with that section. And the other thing is, I would like for Ms. Gono to address herself to the last two issues here. And I will end with a parable in manner, since she's manner and I'm manner. We both come from the manner technically. There is a trend here. For me as a statistician, in 2017, Boakai, like you said, surprised everybody. And he went for Nukwe. Why people were surprised? Because everybody knew Nukwe was corrupt. And where Nukwe corruption started from, he was co-chair on Ways and Means Committee under Ellis Tyler. And when Ellis Tyler became speaker, Ellis Tyler appointed him as chairman, and eventually removed Ellis Tyler and became speaker. And everybody knows the corruption of the Ways and Means Committee at the House of Representatives. So Boakai went for him. Again, Jeremiah is co-chairman. He was co-chair on Ways and Means Committee to Thomas Falak. Thomas Fala is one of the representatives with university that you never have out of business, but out of government. He built hospital, he have businesses, there are accounts that he has more than 20 houses in Monrovia, out of government, not out of business that he earned outside government. But where did he get it from? Ways and Means Committee. So Boakai went for him. I see a trend here as a statistician. So, but there is a parable in Mano which I want to end with. Like Meapeh will understand. In Mano we say, lizard can eat rice. But why is lizard always is found among the rice, in the rice kitchen, in the rice barn? Why is lizard found? And the reason why Mano will say that.
How you say that in Mano to close?
If you say, well, I don't understand Mano.
No, please.
I can speak better Mano.
No.
No, go ahead. You already explained it. So say in Mano so you can close.
Okay, now here. Zola Bubri. But Mezra, what lizard
Go.
Right.
Yeah.
So they say that to me, if you say you are not corrupt, why your partners are always corrupt people?
Thank you. Agaya. All right. Let me get the last caller here. That's Flomo Livingston. You be our last caller, Flomo.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Ms. Cole. Well presented. Your analysis very on point. You know, I mean, the whole point about the hypocrisy in the LeBron politics is so funny. The ANC people calling the JNB hasn't taken no responsibility. JNB on the record said they've scorned some opportunity in the 12 years. So I don't know that's not taking responsibility. Again, people try to protect their own bad guy. All the political party has some evil people in it that did bad things during the war. You know, you got some people who gave $50,000 to Prince Johnson's school. Or that time Prince Johnson was not a murderer. Or again, you have that people like John Bolton who supporting CDC. Mm-hmm. So John Bolton is not a murderer, but he's supporting John Weir. Yeah, you got ANC, you got Donald Chin, that did all that. So we need to stop the hypocrisy. Because someone not on your team, so you want to bring a bad record on them. So we need to stop that. And the right person to lead this country is JNB and Jeremiah Kou. Because JNB has worked in the government, he has the experience, and Jeremiah Kou has proven that too because he won the election about 3 times. I understand Mr. Gono I just called. Jeremiah Kou beat his sister in the election, so that feeling stay there. I understand. And you know, you just gotta get over it. Thank you.
Thank you. And sorry, let me bring my last caller. You just called. Darling, you have 30 seconds because we are out of time.
Mr. Yeah, I just want to make a correction quick on what Mr. Bongo said. The Bible is gay, me and I. So those are 2 different lasers. So I just want to make that correction very quick. Thank you.
Which are the lasers? Are the redhead laser or the? All right, thank you. I still remember Buble from my manor from my Guinea manor. All right, you want to respond to our callers quickly?
Yeah, thank you, and I thank them for listening and participating. I know the first caller thought that I was pivoting a lot, so did the second caller. But you know, this is politics. We have to be careful what we say, where people spin things around. And I am speaking as the global chairperson of the Tact team, regardless of how our caller thinks, because he thinks that I'm not taking responsibility or I'm not speaking definitively on certain issues. When you ask things that are clearly in the prerogative of the former Vice President Joseph Boakai, or things that he did not make public, I cannot assume that, oh, this was his thinking when he made this decision. At that point, I can give my own suggestion as a political person, what I think led to that decision. So we are not asking about his accomplishments or campaign-related things that I cannot speak to. If you tell me why you think Honorable Joseph Boakai wore a green shirt today or a short sleeve, I can tell you I want to believe that the weather is very warm. So there are things that I would not answer, emphatically, because I do not have those answers. But it does not mean that when it comes to the Tact team and its role and its mandate to ensure that Honorable Joseph Boakai is the next president of our country, I cannot speak to that. I can speak to that, and this is why I'm here today. And one of our callers said something about he has not taken accountability. I don't understand what they're trying to say, but this man has served. And if you understand bureaucracies, I'm happy that someone like you is coming to become a superintendent. And the good thing about it is that maybe as superintendent, you're able to control a lot of things on your own. But in a situation where the superintendent is no longer elected, you will still be subjected a lot to the central government and through the Minister of Internal Affairs. So if he understands what the role of a vice president is, which is to merely assist when called upon, even if when the vice president the Senate is only there to be quiet, except there's a tie that the vice president has to break. So yes, people have served in government. He has served in government. He has been a vice president. And like I say, borrow from the analogy of William R. Tolbert. That's why he became successful, because for 19 years, under William Van Canara Shadrach Todman, he served. He was able to see those things that the country needed. And I think this will be the case when Honorable Joseph Boakai becomes the next leader of Liberia. I heard my big brother and man of my background, man I have impeccable respect for, Honorable Meapeh Kou Gono. I heard him speaking, saying some tough things. But I tell you, I hear the parable, but we have to reconcile this country. We have to bring it together. That does not mean that the former vice president is going to indulge in behaviors or tendencies that are anti-democracy and anti-developmental simply because people support him or people endorse him. And I will say again, Prince Johnson does not have an official role, him being stepping away from the MDR and turning over to Kun. Does not mean he has an official role on the Boakai campaign, and that does not mean he's a decision maker and that his views represent that of our standard bearer. The statements he made were not right. It came under condemnation, and he himself apologized. And I hope in the interest of those victims or these people who were offended will move forward and not dwell on it in the name of politics. And the same I would say of statements from other people you name, be it Yeke, be it whoever, Kiev. Those are not things that should exist in our civilized society. And I just want to use this time again to admonish all of us. If we need to move our country forward, let us bring our votes together, bring our efforts together, bring our support together, and put it behind that long-serving statesman who has an impeccable record, a stellar record in public service, and who has the experience to move our country forward. So I want to thank you tonight for the show. It was such a wonderful opportunity to be here. And I would always like to come back, to engage with our people and encourage them that scattering our votes around will not help, defeating an incumbent. Let us come together and support the effort of this experienced statesman who will transition the next group of leaders, and then we can take over our country.
Thank you. Join me tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. on Tough Talking Thursday. This is where we talk tough. We're going to be discussing what is politics and what isn't. This is in the wake of all the vitriol that we've been seeing on social media in the name of politics, all the deception and all the tough language. Which is politics and which isn't? Join me with the best political panelists on the planet. That's Admin Salif, that's our government consultant, our consultant of governance. We have Josiah Boakai, our democracy expert, Mansfield Duopo, that's our foreign affairs guy, Meapeh Kou Gono, the statistician and experienced Dr. Dukley. You don't want to miss it with me right here on Focus on Liberia. Cole, I want to thank you so much for your time. We also encourage you to join our panel. So far, since 1822, nobody has done what we are doing right here on Focus on Liberia. That's a joke. But we have
you actually been giving opportunity for about 50 million people to be heard.
Yeah.
Since 1847.
Exactly. And nobody does it better than what we do here, focus on Liberia. We have the Hour of Politics. That's politics. It's every Tuesday. Abby Tyler's Healthy Living or Health Show every Tuesday. Roundtable Africa discusses all of Africa every Wednesday. Tough Talking is when we talk tough. We have the Literary Hour, all literature, every Friday. Friday Night Debate, Everyone Marketplace, our business, finance, and economics. The Liberian History channel, we deal with Liberian history. A New Day, we deal with women issues. And On Point, that's our political debate show on Sunday. Always keep your dial set right here on Focus on Liberia. Carl, I want to thank you so much for coming. If there's anything I didn't ask or anything you want to add finally, please, you have the time now to give us your closing comments.
Thank you. I would just like to say thank you again to you and the rest of the panelists for providing this platform, for giving people the opportunity to listen, to come here, to exchange views. This thing has changed our democracy. 6 years ago, 12 years ago, you did not have this kind of participation. And when we talk about participation in our democracy, these are the things that, these are the vehicles that, accelerate the process. So I want to tell you thank you. And as we go towards the elections, I will say again for the last time, for the 100th time, let us bring our resources together. If this is about country, let us bring our support together. Let us bring our expertise together, our votes together, and join Honorable Joseph Boakai in defeating this incumbent government and changing things for the people of Liberia. So thank you again, and I look forward to being here sometime in the future. And let's keep in touch. Let's keep talking.
Thank you. I want to also thank our viewers, those who call in, those who commented, and even those who will watch later. Always focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We never close a broadcast here without playing our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Whether you are Man, Dam, Pele, Grable, Kisi, or Loma, we are all Liberians. What is incumbent upon all of us is to do our very best to make our country the glorious land of liberty. Have a good night, and God bless you.
Thank you.
We are Liberians.